Hello everybody, it's Mike Less, and today I am going to show you the inside of a new Versatile 450 tractor. As far as getting in, how everything operates, start it up, we're going to drive it around, but I'm going to go through all the controls with you. First, let's walk up, and we're going to open the grill, and we are going to make sure the battery disconnect is turned on. On these new Versatiles, always remember when you get on the first step, open the door, that'll clear your head, then climb in.
I've had some requests on some of my YouTube videos if I would get up inside the cab and go through all the controls and the operation of the new Versatile tractors. So that's what I'm going to do here today for you. All the Versatile tractors, from the front wheel assist, the 260, all the way up to the four-wheel drive line, the cabs and the operation is the same on all models. There's a couple little differences between the mechanical front wheel drives versus the four-wheel drives, but 95% of it is the same. And we're going to go through this four-wheel drive here. I'll go through all the buttons, the controls, and start it up and drive it, show you a few things there. For starters, the steering wheel can be tilted up and down, and also adjusted in and out. Before we start the tractor, there's a couple safety features built into the starting circuit of the tractor. For starters, we have an emergency brake over here that has to be engaged or the lever pulled up. The shift lever has to be in a neutral position, and the power takeoff shaft, or PTO, has to be in the off position. PTO is an option on the four-wheel drives, so just make sure it's up as well.
Also on the four-wheel drive tractors that have the CAT power shift transmission, the clutch pedal does not have to be pushed in. Actually, it's better to not push it in so the transmission can go through a self-calibration. So again, after emergency brake, shift lever, and PTO, we can now go ahead and turn the key switch to the on position, wait for the dash to light up, and then crank, and our tractor starts up. Okay, now that the tractor is running, the screen defaults to the voltage. We also have analog gauges with RPMs, miles per hour, engine temperature, and fuel gauge. The low fuel light is on. This tractor was just shipped from the factory, so they don't ship them with a lot of fuel. Also, if you look at the gear display, it's showing P1, which is park in first gear. I'm going to release the emergency brake now, and now it defaults to neutral 5. So the tractor will start out in 5th gear. If that is not suitable, we can also change that default gear. If the customer wants to start out in a lower gear, we can change that anywhere from 1 to 6. Going through the dash with you, we have our voltage screen, and we can change our selection by pushing the buttons up or down. And over here we have an OK and a show subscreen button. So let's just scroll through here and see what we got. I'm going to hit the down button. We go from voltage to transmission oil temperature, which is 28 degrees Celsius right now. Since these tractors are built in Canada, they're on the metric system. When they get down to the US, we can easily change it over to imperial value, which I will do on the next screen. We get to the next screen, it says setup, version information, which is our software version. If I want to see what else is here, then I just hit the OK button, and it goes to language. We can change the language. If I go to the next one, it says unit of measure. Now if I hit the show subscreen button, it comes up as metric, and if I hit the OK button, it changes it to imperial. So now we'll be reading in miles per hour in US or imperial versions. Okay, so we're done here, so I want to get out of that. So I'll hit the exit button or show subscreen button. Back, now I'll hit the down arrow. This takes us to the DPF regeneration. This tractor has Intrim Tier 4 on it, which has a diesel particulation filter. this tractor will go through and do its own stuff automatically when going through the field. You should really never have to get into this screen here. Inhibit would be if we wanted to turn it off, which most applications for these tractors, you should never have to turn this off. This would only be if you was running in a building, the tractor was running in a building or something where you did not want it to go through a regeneration. You could go through here and turn it off. But again, don't mess with this. If something would happen that a manual regeneration was required, we would get to this screen, we would hit the OK button, and it says forced regen. If we wanted to force a regen right now, which I'm not going to do, for one, it will not let me do it if it doesn't need it. If it needed one, there would be a light over here blinking in yellow. But if you're out working the tractor, even if you're using it in the field, not under severe conditions, but it's running, you're normally going to be running a high enough exhaust temperature that you do not need to mess with this. But let's just say we did, we would get to this screen, I would hit the show subscreen button, and it says forced regen, are you sure? Now if I hit yes, it would try to do it. When you get to this point, the tractor has to be setting still at an idle with the emergency brake on. I'm not going to force it, because if you try to force it too many times when it doesn't need it, you'll have to get Cummins to reset the ECM. So don't mess with this unless it really requires it. Okay, I can get out of this screen now, which I will here by just hitting the exit button. Okay, now we're back to where we started on the DPF regeneration screen. Let's scroll down one more time. Okay, we're now at the calibration screen. There's several different things in here. Lighting calibration, like if we had the LED lights, or if you're adding LED lights, you can go in and tell the tractor that it has them, which we don't need to do. So I'm just going to scroll through. Whoops. Okay, so I can hit the OK. We have tire size adjustment, which we can do different tires. We can do a wheel speed calibration. We can do a zero slip calculation, steering angle calibration, scraper control, which just allows height control on an implement that can be tied in with the tractor here. And we're back to lighting configuration again. Okay, now let me go down one more. Distance calibration, like if we're setting our wheel tire size adjustment and stuff there. Okay, and now we are at the engine hour screen. This tractor has 4.40 hours, and you also see service 1, 50 hours. You can set service intervals on here for, like, once you change the oil or service the tractor, you can reset it so you get a warning when it's time to do it again. PTO speed. This tractor does have a PTO, so if we would turn the PTO on, it will read PTO speed. I'm going to go ahead and turn PTO on. Okay, and right now with the tractor idling, PTO is turning 476 RPMs, and also the green light here is showing your power takeoffs on as well. And go ahead and turn it off. Back to 0. Okay, if we had fault codes, if the tractor would throw a fault code, there would be a yellow book that would light up here on the screen, and we could actually go in and read the faults, whether there be an engine fault, transmission fault, or just a general fault on the tractor. If I hit the OK button, it goes from engine, transmission, to just vehicle codes. Okay, I hit the show subscreen button, which put us in the, now we don't have any codes, but if we did, it would show up here. So I want to get back out of that screen. Okay, tractor performance monitor. We can put an acre counter on here. We can also go in and see how much fuel we're burning per hour or per acre. So just go through this real quick with you here. This 450 has a 15-liter Cummins motor in it. So you can actually go through here if I want to hit area coverage. So I'm going to hit the show subscreen. So yeah, you can turn it on or off and count your acres. Exit out of there. I'm going to hit OK. Fuel consumption. Okay, I'm on the fuel consumption screen now. Okay, I got into there. So right now it is saying that this tractor just sitting here idling burns about 1.6 gallon an hour idling. Now, just sitting here, if I rev the throttle up to maximum RPMs, it says it's burning about 6.7. So it would burn 6.7 gallon if I let it sit here wide open, just sitting still, which obviously we wouldn't do, but that's how that works. I'm going to get out of that screen and I'll hit OK one more time. Implement width. So if we was using the acre counter, we could go in and we could program in our implement width too. Hit OK one more time. We're back to area preset, area coverage, and fuel consumption. So that's what's in the TPM, or the tractor performance monitor. Okay, now here's our speed and engine RPM. So this tractor, all four-wheel drive tractors idle at 1,000 RPM, and they go to a max of about 2,200 RPM. All right, engine oil pressure at an idle is about 40 psi. And wheel slip, we can go in, we got a wheel slip adjustment here we can set. So right now it's set at 40%, so if our wheels were slipping 40%, it would start beeping at us. And you can set that wherever. If you want a warning at 10%, 15%, now I back through to where we started. All right, I'm gonna go back to speed and RPMs. All right, this tractor has a radar gun on it, so we actually got a radar gun under the tractor that would be counting our, or measuring our speed, and that is an option. Otherwise it would just be reading off a shaft inside the transmission. We'll now go over here to the armrest controls. I'll go through them with you. Our screen right here is for our hydraulics, and I'm going to go through that with you a little bit. I'm not going to go through every detail. There is a video on Versatile Eggs YouTube page, and I'm actually in it, and it shows going through all these controls, and you can watch that again at Versatile Egg on YouTube. Okay, to turn on the hydraulics, we need to go over here. We got two keypads here with some buttons on it, and I'll go through them all with you. But to turn on our hydraulics, we go right here to this button here with the hydraulic symbol, and if I just press that button, it lights up green and our screen comes on. This tractor has 6 hydraulic remotes on it, so our screen is showing 6. You can either get 4 remotes or 6 remotes on the Versatiles here. Okay, so remote 1 controls 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, and our buttons down the side here control each one. So we can run these in 3 different modes. We can run time detent, we can run them in manual, or we can run them in continuous flow. And to change that, right now looking at the remotes, number 1 and number 2 are already set. They're on time detent, and if I want to change that, we just press and hold the button to the remote we want to change. So I'm going to change number 1, so I just press on this arrow over here on the side. These are just a push button here, so if I press and hold that, okay, that changed number 1 to a symbol with 2 arrows. That's continuous flow. And if I want to go to manual, I press and hold that one more time. Now if you have a hand signal, that's manual. So to run these in manual, and let me zoom in here, I'm going to pull number 1 back. Okay, and when I do, you're going to see the raise arrow on the screen. Okay, back to neutral. Press it forward to the lower position, and then if I push the remote farther down, it'll go into float. Okay, that runs them manually. Now if we were running, I'll say we were running a planter with a hydraulic motor, or we had an implement that needed constant down pressure and wanted to run it in continuous flow, I'll switch that back to continuous flow. And if I just pull back on the lever, it just stays pumping oil the whole time. Okay, to turn that off, then we would just flicker the remote back to the neutral position. We can also adjust our flow. Okay, all these are turned up to 100% right now. If we wanted to turn our flow down, this toggles between the flow, and there's a white box around this circle. If I hit that, that lights up, and when that lights up, I can turn the knob and turn our flow down or up. Also, you can tap a camera. There's a couple plugs on the back of this remote. You can put a camera in and use a camera on here as well. And that pretty well covers. That's a quick going on the hydraulics. Like I said, if you want to get into more detail, you can visit Versatile Ag's YouTube page and watch a video of me going through it in more detail there. Okay. Now, a couple things. I showed you the PTO, hand throttle, and a couple buttons here. We have, this is our engine cruise. Cummins says that we get our best fuel economy and power bulge at 1800 RPMs. So the tractor, if you push the throttle all the way forward, will go up to a maximum of about 2200 RPMs. If we wanted to use our engine cruise, we have to push our throttle all the way forward. Okay, we're at 2200 RPMs. I'm going to go ahead now and I'm going to turn the engine cruise on. Okay, that lit up. Now I don't know if you can hear the engine in this video or not, but you heard it go down, and it is factory defaulted to go to about 1800 RPMs right there. Okay, so if we was in a situation, say we wanted to run more RPMs on engine cruise or less RPMs, we would just hit our plus and minus button here. So if I want to set that down, say 1600 RPMs, I just keep pushing that down until I get my desired RPMs. Okay, so I'm getting, yeah, pretty close here to there, about 1590. And if you pull back on your throttle, that'll cancel it out. The throttle has to be all the way forward for it to work properly. Okay, I'm just going to go ahead and turn it off now, and then pull our throttle back. The other button here is for our end of row command. And since I'm not in the field with the tractor, I'm not going to go through all that with you. But this is an end of row command. You can program the tractor to do several different things. Say you get to the end of the field and you normally downshift 2 gears, raise your implement, and pull your throttle back. You can program all that, so when you get to the end of the field, you just hit this button twice and it does it for you. And under this pad here, there's 8 different settings, so you could program up to 8 different implements in here for the end of row command. A couple of the other things here: auto steer button, the lights here. This is for our front cab lights to turn them on, and we can do this. You can get up to 6 cab lights in the front and in the back, but you can turn them on just 2 lights at a time. So if we press that one time, it's going to turn the outside 2 on. We press it again, it turns on the other 2. Press it one more time, and the other 2. Same with the back, works the exact same way. Rear cab lights and rear fender lights. This button here is for the front 2 headlights in the grill. Where you would use these mostly would be, like, say, going down the road where you just wanted some headlights on, but you didn't want to blind everybody with all the cab lights. Just turn that, and that turns on your lights inside your buttons, and it also lights up your dash. This is for your flashing beacon on top of the cab, and your front windshield wipers, your rear windshield wipers, and if you're using your wipers on intermittent, there's 3 different settings there. If the tractor has locking differentials, that's this button here. This tractor does have the reversible fan, which will normally cycle about every 20 minutes, but if you press that button here, if you wanted to do it more regularly, you could hit that button here and that'll engage the reversing fan. This is an extra button we don't use. Override button would be, the tractor has an automatic shutdown system on it, so if the engine would run hot, low on coolant, low on oil pressure, you would get a warning and the tractor would actually shut off. The override button would be, let's say we had an emergency where the tractor overheated, but we was going down the road and we just had to get off here in a safe spot. We didn't want the tractor to shut down. If we would hit that override button, it would keep the tractor running until you got to a safe spot where you could actually stop it. I wouldn't recommend running, you know, if the tractor gets in that mode, there's something serious. Not that that really happens, but it could. And I wouldn't recommend running with that override button on for any longer than you have to. But that's what that's for. And then we also have shift buttons here, so we can actually set this for the upshift and the downshift to shift either 1 gear at a time, 2 gears at a time, or 3 gears at a time. So let's say a guy gets to the end of the field, he normally downshifts 2 gears or 3 gears. You could actually change that. So when you hit the shift button on the lever, it'll shift whatever you set it here, 1, 2, or 3. And the power takeoff I talked about, the remotes we showed. One other thing people probably ask, so I'll bring it up, this bracket right here. This tractor has the option on it for its auto steer ready. So it already has an auto steer valve from the factory that will accommodate many of your top brands out there. And when you get the auto steer ready, it comes with a mounting bracket for a monitor. A couple other things up here, our radio, climate control, our fan, and our air conditioner heater temperature control. This tractor has heated mirrors and adjustable mirrors. Cab post, we got a couple power ports, cigarette lighter, cup holders. Another safety button in here is our hazards, located on the steering column. And over behind the buddy seat, we have a power inverter. We got a 5-volt USB, a 120, we can turn that on or off, and then we also have another cigarette or 12-volt lighter and some more cup holders. Then we also have our cab light. We can just turn it off, turn it on full time, or to turn on with the cab door. And we got front and rear sun blinds. Mounting bar for monitors or my GoPro. The right hand door does open a little bit, and it also has a safety pin for another emergency exit if you would need that. The four-wheel drive tractor also has a decelerator pedal in it. That is an option, and this tractor has that option. And just looking around the cab, if you've sat in one of these tractors, you know it's a pretty big cab. Supposed to be the largest cab in the industry, and I believe it is. 3-point hitches are an option on all versatile four-wheel drive tractors. And if this tractor was equipped with the 3-point hitch, the 3-point hitch control would go in this section right here. Right now it's just a storage compartment. We would just take that out and our controller would go in that spot. We'll take the tractor for a spin here, and I am going to shuttle shift the tractor from forward to reverse. And you do not have to use the clutch pedal or engine pedal to do this. Just change direction with the gear shifter and the tractor will self-modulate and stop and change direction on its own without use of the clutch pedal. Same with taking off in the field. The clutch pedal really you can use just for backing up to hook up to implements or in tight spots. And of course, all done here. Shut the tractor off, parking brake on. If you don't turn the
parking brake on, it'll beep at you, and it'll still beep at you after you turn the brake on. Just hit the OK button on the dash and it'll stop beeping. And to get out, our handle on the door, open the door, and out we go. Okay, a little windy out here today, but let's just do a quick walk around of the tractor. And come over here, open up the side, just a couple of service things. We can check our coolant. There's a little see-through plug up here. Engine oil dipstick, fuel filter, water separator filter. I did mention in the video this tractor has the reversing fan on it, which actually changes pitch as your engine temperature goes up, and every 20 minutes or so it reverses, which blows everything back out of your radiator, anything that would stick to it. If we're changing the oil, here's our add engine oil. Hydraulic tank is mounted up there. There's a sight glass for checking your hydraulic oil. That pretty well covers this side of the engine. Also a couple lights under the hood here that we can turn on, and these will turn off after about 15 minutes if nobody's using them, and you walk away, you forget to turn it off, but you got to put your finger over that square for 2 seconds to turn it on and off. I actually get that question quite a bit because people think you just have to tap it, but no, the secret is you just got to put your finger over it for 2 seconds. There you go. All right. And I guess I already had this open in the video, but we can get in here, open up our coolers. We want to blow these out. Radiator, transmission, oil cooler, hydraulic oil cooler, fuel cooler, AC. Everything's up here. A couple little storage compartments, batteries, battery disconnect, toolbox. Open up the right side, coolant filter, engine oil filter back there. Exhaust system and so on. Another light over on this side. Underneath the tractor, here's our radar gun I talked about a little earlier, and our hydraulic and transmission filters. In the articulation area of the tractor, there's 12 grease fittings on here. Your bottom pin, your top pin, your links, and your steering cylinders. Okay, here's a look at the CAT TA22 power shift transmission, and there is the sight glass down there for checking the transmission oil, and that should be checked when the tractor is running. There's 3 windows on there, and the oil should be in the middle one when the engine is running at an idle. This tractor has the optional PTO on it. You can see here, comes off the back of the transmission, and there's some clutches in here to engage and disengage it. We also have sight glasses on our axles. You can see here, and I'd have to crawl up under the front to get to the other one. External brake. And our planetaries, we can check from the outside. The nice thing about the Versatiles is it does not have a common oil sump. So if you would have a failure, it does not contaminate the entire tractor. For example, on competitive 4-wheel drive tractors, if they had something go wrong in the axle, it's tied in with your transmission oil, hydraulic oil. Where the Versatile, they're their own self-contained system. Just to look at the back side of the tractor, PTO, hitch pin, 6 hydraulic remotes. There's a fuel tank on each side of the tractor. and you can fill it from each side. There's a cross tube that goes over, so whichever's convenient you can fill. Locking pin for the articulation area. If you was working on the tractor, you can lock it solid so nobody can, if you was working on it and somebody was up in there with it running, they can't turn the tractor to lock it. And I don't know if I can get in any better here to our auto steer ready valve, and then here is our transmission fill. And the last service item here is our air filter. Pop that cover off, you can get into your air filters right there. And that's a quick walk around of the daily checks or quick service points on Versatile 4-wheel drive tractors. And that pretty well wraps up the inside controls of a Versatile tractor. This is not a professional video by any means. I just had some requests for it, did the best I can. I know most of my videos just feature tractors in the field, don't have me talking in it, but thought I'd give it a whirl.